What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Premier League season review video where I will talk about the last day of the Premier League season because it was incredible drama for Champions League football, for against relegation, for Europa League football, and I think that was a really epic last day of the season in the Premier League. But of course the title was already decided with my club Liverpool winning the title with 7 games to go. And guys, if you want me to react to my pretty embarrassing Premier League predictions video where I predicted, I think, Arsenal and Tottenham, for example, finishing in the top 4, and I also got the relegation zone pretty messed up as well. So if you want me to react to that video, let me know in the comments below, and by leaving a like, let's get this video to 150 likes or 200 likes maybe. If you like this video, then I will do a Premier League predictions video reaction where I think that I will have some pretty hilarious moments reacting to my Premier League predictions. And let's talk about the last day of the season. I think the biggest and most hyped game was the Leicester City-Manchester United game. And if Leicester beat Man United, they knew that they will finish in the Champions League places. But it's actually pretty incredible how even Leicester got in this position. Because in the first half of the season, Leicester City were actually at one point the closest challengers to Liverpool in the Premier League title race. In the first 18 rounds of football, Leicester got almost 40 points, which is pretty incredible. They were actually well in the top 4. But then in the last 20 rounds of football, they only got 23 points. So there, yeah, in the first 18 rounds they got 39 points, and in the last 20 rounds they got 23 points. They have fallen off a cliff. If you just check the last 20 rounds of fixtures, Manchester United got 41 points and Leicester got 23. That's an 18-point swing, which is pretty incredible if you ask me, how Leicester City performed so badly in the second half of the season. But I think that's not just down to the manager. You can blame Brendan Rodgers all you like. I think actually Leicester overall overachieved this season. If before the season you offered Leicester City 5th place, the fans would have been ecstatic with that. Europa League football, 5th place, gate crashing the top 6. It's a great season overall for Leicester City. But the fact that Leicester were so close to Champions League football, and they actually had Champions League football in their hands and had injuries avoided Leicester City, then I think it would have been a lot bigger. This Champions League place would have been easily up for grabs. I mean, I have the Premier League halfway table in front of me. Leicester had 39 points after 19 games, which is pretty astonishing considering that Manchester United only had 28 points after 19 games. And at one point I heard that Man United were 14 points behind the Leicester, but at this stage, at the halfway stage, Man United were 11 points behind Leicester City. That's a lot considering that Leicester at that point only lost 4 games all season, but in the end they ended up with a not so great record. They lost 4 games in the first half of the season and they lost 8 games in the second half of the season. And Man United, they lost 5 games in the first half and only 3 games in the second half of the season. But more importantly, Man United got 28 points in the first half of the season, and then overall they finished on 66 points, and they actually finished in 3rd place on goal difference. So for Man United to go from 8th place to 3rd in just half a season is really remarkable, and I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the Man United players need to get praise and respect for that. But Man United shouldn't have been in the position in the first place to be well outside of the top 4 in the first half of the season. Man United really messed up the start of the season, but then in the second half, once Mason Greenwood, Martial, Rashford hit the ground running, and of course Bruno Fernandes, that was the key signing for Manchester United in my opinion. That was absolutely massive. And also, of course, it helps that Manchester United broke the record for getting the most penalties. And I don't necessarily agree with some people that there is a bias for Manchester United and VAR favors Manchester United. That's not really a case, in my opinion. It's a case that other teams don't get a fair share of their penalties. I mean, it's pretty incredible how Liverpool, a much more attacking team than Manchester United, got like 3 times less penalties this season than Manchester United. Because I think a lot of teams should get a lot of penalties who are attacking, who are playing attacking football. The fact that only Manchester United gets a lot of penalties in the Premier League just shows me that in most of the other games, the referees, the VAR is just not up to the standard. Of course, there is a little devil on my shoulder who is saying that the Premier League wants Manchester United back in the Champions League because Manchester United are the biggest brand for the Premier League. If you like it or not, Man United won the Premier League 13 times and they have such a global audience, such a global reach. And also, the Premier League will bring in more money if Manchester United are in the Champions League. So I'm not saying that people just favor Manchester United for the sake of it, but it's a little bit suspicious that Manchester United are getting all these penalties, and while other attacking sides like Man City, who scored 102 goals, Man United only scored 66. Liverpool, who scored 85 goals. Let me say it again, 85 goals, Man United only 66, and Liverpool get 3 times less amount of penalties, and Man City, I think it's like the same as well. It's a little bit suspicious, especially if you compare Manchester United to Chelsea or Leicester, who roughly scored the same amount of goals. Chelsea and Leicester should get, in theory, around the same amount of penalties, but Man United I think got like 3 times as many penalties as Leicester or Chelsea. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's just a little bit of an interesting statistic for you guys. And actually in the actual game where Leicester played Man United, Leicester were the better team in the first half. Man United looked very nervous. They looked like they are playing for a draw, and then again it was a penalty which Manchester United scored. Bruno Fernandes once again scores a penalty. But again, a penalty got Man United out of jail. And I mean, maybe some other teams don't get those penalties. That's just my point of view. That's just my argument. But feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. So in the end, Man United won 2-0. And I feel a little bit sorry for Leicester because huge injuries hit the team. Ben Chilwell got injured. There was a game or 2 games where Leicester only could play one of their first choice defense, and that would hamper any team. I mean, Liverpool would struggle without Van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold in 1 or 2 games. So you can sympathize with Leicester City, but I think their fall in the second half of the season is more complex, and I'm not sure how much Brendan Rodgers played a part in that. Maybe the players didn't really react well to this extended break, and after that Leicester didn't really hit the ground running. I think the one game that Leicester regrets the most is losing to Bournemouth 4-1. Bournemouth got relegated today despite winning away at Everton, and I feel very sorry for Bournemouth. They are a decent sized club, and also what they did under Eddie Howe is absolutely incredible. I mean, they were just 10 years ago in the 3rd or 4th division in English football, and they were not even dreaming about reaching the Premier League. So not only to get promoted to the Premier League, but to stay here for 5 years. And there was one point where Bournemouth were actually like pushing in the top half of the table, and there was a season where Bournemouth scored more goals than Manchester United in recent seasons. Not sure which season, but I just read that on Reddit today, and I think that's fantastic. The journey that Bournemouth were on in the Premier League was fantastic, and I really hope that they can get back. Of course, the biggest story today, apart from Manchester United finishing in the top 4, is the relegation zone, and Aston Villa knew that they had to get at least a draw against West Ham United, and after Arsenal went 3-0 up against Watford, Aston Villa could have felt comfortable. But then what happened actually is that Bournemouth took the lead against Everton, then Everton equalized, then Bournemouth scored 2 more goals, so Bournemouth were leading 3-1 at Everton throughout the second half, and Aston Villa knew if West Ham beat them, then they will go down on a goal difference, because Bournemouth had a better goal difference than Aston Villa, which is incredible to me that they got relegated with a better goal difference. But of course, Bournemouth had one less point than Aston Villa. And then Jack Grealish, it looked like he was the hero. He scored potentially the goal to keep up Aston Villa. But then, just a minute later, Jack Grealish tries to block the shot of Yarmolenko. It loops up over Pepe Reina, who is a veteran now, 38 years old, still playing in the Premier League. I just love him to bits. Former Liverpool player, of course, and I just love him. It looped up over Pepe Reina. Very unlucky goal to concede. And Aston Villa had to sweat their balls off nervously for the last 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever it was, with stoppage time, not to lose to West Ham, because they knew if they lost, then Bournemouth would stay up and Aston Villa gets relegated. So there was a huge party. And what I loved is that I think Dean Smith is the Aston Villa manager. That's what he's called. He was asked about Jack Grealish's future and what he expects to happen to Jack Grealish in the summer. There is huge speculation that Grealish might go to Manchester United or another top team, Leicester City maybe. And what Dean Smith, the Aston Villa manager, answered was absolutely legendary. He just said, the only thing I expect is that Jack Grealish gets really drunk with me tonight. I just love that. That's the quote of the day for me, honestly. That's brilliant. And I feel sorry for Bournemouth, but I feel sorry for Watford as well. Watford knew that they had to get at least 1 point, potentially maybe two. Potentially beating Arsenal. And going to Arsenal on the last day of the season, having to win to stay up is not an ideal scenario. Even though Arsenal is having their worst season in 25 years, they are still a very, very good team on their day. And they were really on it today. They scored 3 goals in the first half. Then, of course, David Luiz makes it interesting. David Luiz is the only player in Premier League history to concede 5 penalties for a single team in a single season, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Some of them are calling him agent of Chelsea, because Chelsea sold David Luiz to Arsenal, and he basically not only not single-handedly but a little bit ruined Arsenal's season. And it's going to be hilarious that Chelsea play Arsenal in the FA Cup final. It's the rematch of the Europa League final, if you like, and that game was a shambles for Arsenal. So our Arsenal fans must be praying that Chelsea lose that FA Cup final to them. Otherwise, they will never live it down. And that's the only way for Arsenal to play European football next season, to win the FA Cup, because they finished in 8th place, which is, even though it's better than 10th, the position where Arsenal was before this round of fixtures, it's still the worst position for Arsenal in something like 25 years. I don't exactly know the date when Arsenal last time finished in 8th or lower, but it's an incredible fall from grace. And we knew that Arsene Wenger leaving Arsenal would pose to be difficult for Arsenal, but I didn't really expect them to fall this far. In fact, I predicted Arsenal to finish in the top 4, because they finished last season quite strongly, and this season I felt with the new signings that Arsenal could really push on. They only missed out on the top 4 last season by 1 point to Tottenham, but Tottenham and Arsenal both finished outside of the top 4. Pretty incredible, if you ask me. And I mean, most of the big teams really struggled this season. Even Manchester City, even though they comfortably finished the 2nd place, in their own standards, they had a shocking season. I mean, Man City losing 9 games after, I think, last 2 seasons they didn't lose 9 games combined, and only finishing on 81 points. Last season Man City got 98. The previous season they got 100. So to fall that far is incredible. Even though Man City won their last 5 games, steamrolling everyone, they got a revenge for losing to Norwich, beating them 5-0 on the last day of the season. But still, I mean, 81 points is pretty bad for Man City's standards. But for Man United, Chelsea, to finish only on 66 points and qualify for the Champions League is incredible, because in most seasons, 66 points wouldn't even get you into the top 5. Last season, 71 points was needed for Champions League football. 2 seasons ago, it was 71 points that was needed for Champions League football. 3 seasons ago, it was 76 points needed for Champions League football. So I have to go back a long time to find the season where, yeah, it's the 2015-16 season. So 4 seasons ago was the last time 66 points was enough for Champions League football. So, I mean, Man United and Chelsea are celebrating because they reached Champions League, but overall their season was pretty bad. I mean, Chelsea lost 12 times, the same as Leicester. Tottenham lost 11 times. Arsenal lost 10 times. Absolute shambolic season. And also congratulations to Tottenham, because at one point they were like 10th, 11th in the Premier League. At the halfway stage they were pretty down there, but they put a pretty decent run. They won 3 out of the last 5 games, and the other 2 games got the draws. So Tottenham leapfrogged Wolves on the last day of the season to qualify for the Europa League, and that was, I think, the minimum requirement for Tottenham after going to their new stadium, newly built stadium, and Mourinho in the Europa League. He won it with Manchester United, so and also with Porto. So it will be interesting how Tottenham does next season, but they need definitely new players. Leicester City also in the Europa League, that will be exciting, even though what if is always on the mind of many Leicester City fans. Sure, what if they just had a little bit of a better second half of the season? They would have easily made Champions League football. And Wolves now has to root for Chelsea, because Wolves are in 7th place, and if Arsenal win the FA Cup, then Arsenal qualify for the Europa League. But if Chelsea win the FA Cup, because Chelsea are already in the top 4, and even if they were in the top 6, then Wolves, 7th placed Wolves, would qualify for the Europa League. And last season, this is what happened. Man City won both the FA Cup and the League Cup, so Wolves in 7th place qualified for the Europa League, and they are still in that competition as well. So in theory, Wolves could actually even qualify for the Champions League if they win the Europa League, which of course is not like very likely, but they are a team capable of winning the Europa League in my opinion. They have a great squad, great strikers, very good team, and Nuno Espirito Santo is a good manager. He knows what he's doing, so hats off to Wolves. And what a weird feeling it must be for a Wolves fan, that either you could be out of Europe next season, or you could end up with the Europa League football if Chelsea win the FA Cup, or you could even end up with Champions League football if Wolves go on a mad run and win the Europa League. So I think Wolves fans will be having a very interesting summer this season. Also, shout out to Sheffield United. What an incredible season they had. Even though they couldn't qualify for Europe, they lost the last 3 games. I still applaud them, because Sheffield United surprised everyone. I predicted them to finish dead last. I will be honest, I didn't know a lot about Sheffield United and what a great manager Chris Wilder is, but I think they captured everyone's imagination, at least most of the neutrals. They were fantastic this season, very tough, very resilient, very hard to beat. They had a better defense than Arsenal, Wolves, Tottenham, Leicester, Chelsea. Absolutely incredible. Sheffield United only conceded 39 goals. And of course, they only scored 39 goals in 38 games, so that's probably where the problems were. But they were very, very tough to play against. Even Liverpool could have easily lost to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. We just got lucky that Dean Henderson made an absolute howler from a Wijnaldum shot. I remember that game where Liverpool really struggled to break down a very, very tough Sheffield United side. So I'm really looking forward to watching Sheffield United next season in the Premier League. Huge congratulations to them. And Everton, West Ham had shocking, underwhelming seasons. Everton finishing in the bottom half is not what I expected, and West Ham also fighting against relegation all season. With the squad that they have, they should be pushing into the top 10, never mind finishing in 60th place. Norwich just weren't good enough. They just couldn't score enough goals, even though Timo Pukki, their top scorer last season, went on a mad goal scoring run. In the first like 7 or 8 games he scored like 6 goals, but since then his goals dried up and Norwich just wasn't good enough in the Premier League. Watford and Bournemouth also, after a long stay in the Premier League. I think Bournemouth stayed 5 seasons, Watford 4 seasons now in the Premier League. They both got relegated, and it's incredibly tough to get promoted from the Championship. I mean, Leeds United must know how tough it is. That it took them 16 years after getting relegated to the Championship to get back up into the Premier League. And the next season is going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to it. Leeds United and West Brom are already back, and the team I want also to be back is Swansea. They beat Brentford 1-0 in the playoff semi-finals, first leg only, so they still need to go to Brentford. And also there are other teams vying for that playoff final and getting promoted to the Premier League, so it will be an exciting summer for that as well. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun to make. Thanks for watching. See you later, guys. Goodbye.